What's up, guys? Today, I want to talk to you about my journey towards a vegan diet. A lot of different things kind of had to happen in my life for me to go vegan. That kind of led me to where I am today. Um, Basically, I grew up in a Christian family and a Christian Baptist family, and I kind of went to church like all my life, and kind of during my like 21, 22 years of age kind of area, I was actually like smoking quite a bit of weed then, and I was kind of thinking about Christianity and everything, and I was just I guess I was like stoned and I was thinking about it. And I was like, you know what? Like, the fact that, there was this is Baptist Christianity. The fact that there's like, a God that basically just created everything, and created a system where people get damned to hell, and like most everyone in the world that's not Christian, like that just didn't really make sense to me. I was just like, why? I don't know, just kind of like a common sense kind of thing. Like, I was just like, why the fuck did I believe in this shit? And I mean, so then, after that, I kind of, I guess there was kind of like maybe a void that I was trying to fill. And then I found I was really into, I've been a professional poker player for the last 4 years. So I kind of discovered poker then, and I I was playing poker, and I saw this video. It was the eightfold path to titlessness in poker. And in this video, he was talking about kind of using Buddhist concepts to illustrate, how to have like a calm, peaceful mind at the poker table, how to focus and make the right play. And he suggested doing meditation. So I was definitely interested, and he was saying that by meditating, you could have a more calm and peaceful mind to be able to play poker better. I Googled online meditation center, and I found it was the Kadampa Meditation Center in Arlington. And it was a Buddhist temple. I didn't realize it at the time, but I went there, and it was a really cool experience. I've never experienced a Buddhist temple before, and in Christianity they kind of like program you with like quite a bit of things, and say like, don't believe in like false gods or like these idols and stuff. So I walked in, and it was definitely different to me, and it wasn't what I was expecting. But we did like an opening meditation, and that was cool because I could learn how to meditate. And then it was just, I remember there was a Buddhist monk, I kind of forget his name, Punrab. Yeah, Punrab. He was a really cool dude, and he was just talking about a lot of those like common sense things that just really resonated with me at the time, because I guess back then, I just kind of got caught, and I was doing something I didn't enjoy, and I was running my own e-commerce business, and instead of like realizing that I just didn't enjoy being at a desk all day and like buying and selling cards, like basically I just smoked smoked a lot of weed, like baked cookies and listened to Kid Cudi, and kept working. And then it just kind of spiraled out of control. So then I was like kind of seeking for, um, I was just kind of seeking for something to fill that void. And then I really found Buddhism, and it was really, really, really cool learning how to meditate. And that definitely gave me a lot more calm and peaceful mind. I did a lot of yoga then too. I was introduced to that as well because a lot of people at the meditation center they did yoga. So in my venture in Buddhism and kind of learning about it, there's kind of a lot of concepts that were introduced to me that, like basically the same consciousness that's inside me and the same consciousness that's inside you is also the same consciousness that's inside animals, and that basically like everyone's sacred. So that kind of philosophy of mine, it's like it never really entered my brain because in Christianity, you're kind of programmed. Well, I was programmed that like the animals were put here on the earth for like man, man's like to eat, and for man basically to enslave the animals, and do whatever you want with them. So so kind of dispelling that kind of mindset, that philosophy that was in my mind, and kind of replacing it with something that was a lot more compassionate. That's really kind of what enabled me to be more open to being vegan. If I didn't have that transition in my mindset, then it would have been really tough for me to consider about not eating meat. There's other ways to get there, but to being vegan, there's a lot of scientific research out there that just shows that meat is really bad for your health. So, regardless of what you believe, you can go vegan, because it's just better for your health, and that's totally fine. I think that if you do that, then you can start developing like more and more compassion for animals, as you kind of go along. Like you might not realize that you kind of like had it in you, and that's totally fine. It's definitely just helping the movement. But also too, I mean, you can also realize that it's the number one contributor to global warming, and we want to save our planet. We don't want to, do activities and engage in activities that are going to increase global warming. But that's really like a discussion for another time. Discussing about the animal agriculture business being the largest contributor to global warming. So basically, going to the Buddhist Meditation Center, there was a Texas State Veggie Fair that happened it was like the coming up weekend, and like a lot of people I knew from the meditation center were going. So I decided to, go out and meet everybody and stuff, and the Kadampa Meditation Center was setting up a booth there at the Texas State Veggie Fair. So I went out, I chilled with everybody, it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of really cool pictures and stuff that I took. There's a lot of cool booths set up, a lot of people were really chill and laid back, and there's just a really good overall energy there. At the Texas State Veggie Fair, there's live music, you could dance. They had really, really, really good vegan food, like ridiculous vegan food. Like it was so good. I had these like vegan tamales that were like to die for. They're so awesome, and I was just having so much fun. And then I saw on YouTube, I saw some videos by Fully Rock Christina, and it was really cool because she was actually there at the event. She's from Houston, Texas. So there's this line where you can line up and you get your picture taken with her. So I did that and got my picture taken with her, and then she was speaking a little bit later, and it was probably one of the most packed out talks in this really tiny tent. And then I gathered in there and was listening to her, and she was talking about the fully raw diet. So I was definitely really, really inspired by her talk, and never really went vegan before. But, I decided to just go fully raw vegan for a week and try it out and see how I felt. I never, I guess at that time, like I was eating less dairy, just because, I kind of grew up in my household, like with my family. They always talked about, they never let me and my brother, like they never bought milk. They always bought soy milk and rice milk, and they're always saying that it's bad for you. And it was cool that my parents, at least they knew that kind of information, and like they didn't let us like drink milk and stuff like that. Um, I think it kind of definitely had an impact maybe on my health growing up. Not consuming like a lot of milk. I definitely consumed quite a bit of cheese, but it was cool. Just I my parents didn't start me off with a glass of milk every morning. Um, but anyways, on the fully raw diet, I felt absolutely amazing. Like it was such a huge transition from, I guess, my current diet to like the fully raw diet, and I was just like blown away, like how much better I felt on the fully raw diet. And like, I mean, there was like definitely withdrawals for the first couple days, but then I felt really amazing afterwards, and I had all this energy, and then I didn't need to sleep as much. I felt absolutely great. And after I ended the fully raw diet, what I did was actually took one of the fully raw smoothies I was making. It's actually my high protein kale fruit smoothie, which you can see in my earlier videos, like how to make the recipe. But I still make it to this day, and that was like 3 years ago. And I was making that smoothie, and that kind of stuck, and I just started making that for breakfast every morning. So I kind of took elements of going fully raw for a week that kind of ingrained in my current diet and stuff. So I was still eating stuff like white chicken. I was eating turkey, sometimes lean ground beef, and then some like cheese and like sour cream or ranch or something like that. But I was now drinking like green smoothies and stuff, and the seed was kind of planted for me later on. Um, a little bit later, kind of fast forward a bit, my roommate, he went vegetarian for about 7 months or so, and that definitely had maybe a subtle influence on me, because one of my best friends and now my roommate, he had some experience being vegetarian. Um, and then I guess it was a little bit later. I was at Barnes and Nobles, actually. I would go in and I would get a coffee and study, and there was a girl behind the counter, really cute girl that I was just talking to, and was asking. She looked like she was dressed like she was a runner or something. So I was talking to her a little bit about fitness, and she suggested that I watch 101 Reasons to be vegan, or to go vegan. And I watched the documentary, and I just like, it blew my mind. There was like so many interesting things, and I immediately searched on YouTube for other vegan documentaries, and I was actually, I Googled on Google. I was looking at, okay, what are the top vegan documentaries out there, and I found Earthlings among them, Forks Over Knives, Cowspiracy, those kind of documentaries. But the Earthlings kind of stuck out to me, and I watched that one immediately afterwards, after watching 101 Reasons to Go Vegan, and I was really blown away, like really blown away. Basically, in Earthlings, for any of you guys that don't know, it shows what happens inside the factory farms and stuff. Basically, it's like you don't really register it. Like, there's so much meat production, you just know they get killed and stuff like that, but you don't really register that there's like conveyor belts where the animals are hanging like upside down, and they're passing by, and they'll like slit their throats, and they're like bleeding out, and you see them like squirming and stuff, and like as they're hauling them to get like a bolt in the head or something like that, it's just like you can see the fear in their faces. They don't want to die, and they do this on such a huge, large scale. And I saw that it's like people that do that job that are killing that many animals. I mean, they must it must be really difficult for them mentally. Maybe they like I saw something on it that they even have to do like mental health kind of stuff to help them through, like kind of like therapy. And it was so it blew my mind, like that existed. And I was like super shocked out of that. And then I remember I was living at my parents' house at the time, and I remember going into the kitchen and telling my mom, it's like, man, like I just saw this crazy documentary, and it's like, did you know that this went on? And it's like I just can't eat meat anymore. It's so crazy that I didn't really register that the animals like have to die for you to eat for food for you to eat them. And it's super messed up, because you don't really need animals to live. It's bad for your health. So the fact that an animal has to die, it's like you wouldn't want your dog like to die to be like food. And it's like pigs like aren't that much different than dogs. I mean, they're all animals, so it just doesn't make sense to eat them. So so that was actually in December, before I moved to Sarasota. It was a month before, and then during that month, I actually went out to Oklahoma, and I was living at WinStar World Casino, in Thackerville, Oklahoma. And there wasn't even a grocery store in town. You had to go to Gainesville, Texas, about 15-20 minutes away, to get to Walmart. There wasn't any restaurants or anything. You're just kind of out there in the country. The only thing that's there is WinStar. So I was vegan for about 3 weeks, and then there's about 2 or 3 week time where I went back to eating some like chicken, because I actually had like upcoming surgery, like an inguinal hernia surgery. And I guess my mindset then was, it was like, man, it's super fucked up, but I feel like I just can't make a difference. Like, I feel like all the animals are killed, and if I myself stop eating meat, it's like the animals are still going to be killed. And so at that time, like, I didn't really know about the environmental impact and the impact on your health. So lo and behold, I got the surgery. About a week later, I actually moved here to Sarasota, and my parents helped me pack up my car because I was still recovering from surgery, and my roommate helped me unload in Florida. And I moved here, and actually the thing that really kind of got me interested was, about a week after moving here, I was listening to a Tony Robbins talk called like Living Health, something like that. I was listening to a lot of Tony Robbins talks, driving in the car. I was listening to audiobooks on the way to Florida. And then I really liked, that was kind of the first time I really listened a lot to Tony Robbins. And so I picked up the audiobook, Living Health, and I was listening to that. And he was talking about not eating meat. That 70% of our bodies are made up of water, so it only makes sense that we eat a lot of fruits and veggies that are about 70% in water, and water content, and then packed with vitamins and nutrients and stuff like that. So it definitely piqued my interest again in veganism, and I saw Earthlings. So then I seeked out and watched Cowspiracy and Forks Over Knives. I don't really remember which one I watched first. It might have been Oh, it was definitely, it was Forks Over Knives. I watched that one first, and then after I watched that, I saw that it was way better for my health to be vegan. And then, I was like, whoa, cool. And then I watched Cowspiracy, and that just put the nail in the coffin. Um, I didn't know that the animal agriculture business was the leading contributor to global warming at all. So, after I realized it's better for my health, it's better for the environment, and it's better for the animals. All three of those things, there's just no way I can not be vegan. And that's, my journey, bit by bit, on how I became vegan. And hope you guys enjoyed this video, and definitely gonna have a lot more videos to come. Peace, guys.